Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 9, Text 1. Shri Shukavacha Atmamayamrite Rajan Parasya Nubhavatmanaha Nagate Tartha Sambandha Swapna Drashtur Ivanchasa.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer's seeing his own body working.
Text 2. Bahurupa ivapati mayaya bahurupaya ramamano ganeshvasyo ganeshvasya mamahamiti manyate.
The illusion of living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives, thinking in terms of I and mine.
Text 3. Yarhi bhava mahimni sve parasmin kalamayo ramate kata samhoyas tyakvodaste tadopayam.
As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendental transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self.
Text 4. Atma tattva vishuddhyartham yathaha bhagavan ritam brahmane darshayan rupam avyalika vritadritaha.
O king, the personality of Godhead, being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul.
Text 5. Sa adidevo jagatam paro guruhu swadhishnyamashtaya shish rukshayakshata tam natyakachat dishamatra sammatam prapancha nirmana vidiryaya bhavet.
Lord Brahma, the first spiritual master, supreme in the universe, could not trace out the source of his lotus seat. And while thinking of creating the material world, he could not understand the proper direction for such creative work, nor could he find out the process for such creation.
Text 6. Sajintayan sharam ekatam pasi upashinodvir katitam vacho vipuhu sparsheshu yatsho dasham ekam visham nishkinjananam nipayatanam vidduhu.
While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th, and the other from the 21st of the Sparsha alphabets, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life.
Text 7. Nishamya tattva tradidikshaya disho vilokya tatranyata pashyamanaha swadhishnyamashtaya vimrishya tattitam tapasya upadishtaiva dade manaha.
When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it was wise to sit down on his lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance, as he was instructed.
Text 8. Divyam sahasrabdamamokha darshano chitananapam vichido bhayandriya Atapyatasman kilalokatāpanam tapastapiyam stapatam samahitaha.
Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1,000 years by the calculations of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky, and he accepted it as divine. Thus he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson for the living entities. Thus he is known as the greatest of all ascetics.
Text 9. Tasmai Swalokam Bhagavan Sapajitaha Sandarshayam Asaparam Nayat Param Vyabeta Sanklesha Vimoha Satvasham Svatashtvadbir Purush Swadrishtavadbir Purusha Apishtutam.
The personality of Godhead, being thus very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode by Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons freed from all kinds of miseries and fear of illusory existence.
Text 10. Pravartate yatra rajastamastayoho sattvam cha mishram na cha kala vikramaha na yatra maya kimuta pare hare anuvrata yatra sura surarchitaha.
In that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time, so what to speak of the illusory external energy? It cannot enter that region. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees.
Text 11. Shyama Vadata Shatapatra Lochanaha Pishangavastra Surucha Supeshasaha Sarve Chaturpa Bhava Unmisham Mani Praveka Nishka Parana Suvarchasaha.
The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are described as having a glowing, sky bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers, their dress is of yellowish color, and their bodily features very attractive. They are just the age of growing youths. They all have 4 hands. They are all nicely decorated with pearl necklaces, with ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent.
Text 12. Pravala Vedyuryam Vinala Varchasaha Parishpurat Kundala Maulimalinaha.
Some of them are effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion, and have garlands on their heads, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings.
Text 13. Rajishnupirya Parito Virajate Lasat Vimana Palipir Mahatmanam Vidyottamana Pramodattamatyupihi Savidyut Apravalipiryata Napaha.
The Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions, and all these combined together appear just like the sky decorated with both clouds and lightning.
Text 14. Shiryatya Rupin Yurugaya Patayoho Karotrimanam Bahuda Vibhutibihi Prenkam Shritaya Kusuma Karanuge Vikiryamana Priyakarma Gayati.
The goddess of fortune in her transcendental form is engaged in the loving service of the Lord's lotus feet, and being moved by the black bees, followers of spring, she is not only engaged in variegated pleasure, service to the Lord along with her constant companions, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activities.
Text 15. Tadarsha tatra kila sattvatam patim shriya patim yagna patim jagat patim sunandananda prabalarhanatibihi swaparshadagre parisevitam vibhum.
Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the entire devotee community, the Lord of the goddess of fortune, the Lord of all sacrifices, and the Lord of the universe, who is served by the foremost servitors like Nanda, Sunanda, Prabhala, and Arhana, his immediate associates.
Text 16. Pritya prasada vimukam drugashravam prasannaha sarunalochananam kiritinam kundalinam chaturbhujam pita Sukhem Lakshitam Shriya.
The personality of Godhead, seen leaning favorably towards his loving servitors, his very sight intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune.
Text 17. Atyaraniya sanamastitam param vritam chaturso dasha pancha shaktibihi yuktam bhagesve itaratra chatruvehi svaeva taman ramamanamishvaram.
The Lord was seated on his throne and was surrounded by different energies like the 4, the 16, the 5, and the 6 natural opulences, along with other insignificant energies of the temporary character. But he was the actual Supreme Lord, enjoying his own abode.
Text 18. Tadarshana pariprutantaro rishyatanu prema prarashulochana ha nanama padam bhujamasya vishvashrug yat paramahamsyena patadyagamyate.
Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love. He thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramhamsa.
Text 19. Tam priyamanam samupashtitam kavim praja visarge nijasar praja visarge nijasha sanadhanam babasa ishat smita shochisha gira priya priyam pritamana kare sprishan.
And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired. And thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus.
Text 20. Shri Bhagavan Tvayaham toshita samyak Vedagarbha sishrukshaya Chiram pritena tapasa Dustosha kutayoginam.
The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance with the desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics.
Text 21. Varam varaya padram te varesham ma pivanchitam brahmantraya parishyama pumsa maddarshanat vatibihi.
I wish you good luck. O Brahma, you may ask from me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction, as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization.
Text 22. Manishita nubhavoyam mama lokavalokanam yad upashrutya rahasi jakarta paramam tapaha.
The highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes. This has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance according to my order.
Text 23. Pratyadishtam maya tatra tvayi karma vimohite tapo me hritayam sakshat atmaham tapaso naga.
O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different.
That's it. Please forgive my mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your recitation. We're just waiting for the facilitator to take the class. She will be joining very soon, our Mamta Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. I am here, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Please accept. I'm so sorry, I'm in a different place altogether, so please forgive me. Okay. Please accept my humble obeisances, everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you all so much for the beautiful recitations. I was hearing it, but in the end I have come. I'm sorry I missed the beginning part. Let's quickly do off the introduction prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone. So today the verses given are from 19 to 21, chapter 9 of Canto 2, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Cosmic Manifestation. So I'll just quickly read off the Sanskrit verse. Somebody can do the English translation. Adharyahanyasanam Asthitam param vratam chatu sodasha pancha saktibihi yuktam bhagaitver itaratra chadruvahe swa eva dhaman ramamanam ishwaram. We're starting from there, or I said the wrong verse, I think, Mataji. It will be chapter 19, I think. Sorry. Just gone off a different. Tam Priyamanam Samupasthitam Kavim Raja Visarge Nijashasanarhanam Babhasha Ishat Smitashocishagira Priyaha Priyam Pritamana Karesh Prishan. And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, and thus being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addresses him thus. Can somebody read the purport for me, please? Is that okay?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Please, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
The creation of the material world is not blind or accidental. The living entities who are ever conditioned or nitya bandha are thus given a chance for liberation
Mataji.
under the guidance of his
Mataji.
very good
Thank you, Mataji. Just trying. But because of devotee, otherwise it's not.
sorry.
Where were you?
The Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse this knowledge to the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls in their relationship with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of dissemination of the Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls and therefore is very dear to the Lord. Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entities, but also by spreading his party for the reclaiming the fallen souls. The party is called Brahma Sampradaya, and any member of this party today is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead, back home. The Lord is very much anxious to get back his past parts and parcels. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, no one is more dear than the one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead. There are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men more forgetful of the Lord and thus entangle them more and more into material existence. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper into the darkest region of matter. So such envious demons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord. And the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful verse. So obviously, Sukadeva Goswami over here is trying to tell Parikshit Maharaj, he's explaining how Brahmaji created this whole universe, and initially how Brahma, so Brahma's spiritual master is who? Lord Vishnu. Okay, even though he had not seen him, he heard in the beginning he was asked to do penances. You know, the first two words which he heard was two words from the alphabet. Tha and Pa is called Thapa. Thapa means austerities or penances. Even though Lord Brahma didn't even see he could not see who the person giving this valuable knowledge. He just did it sincerely, he did the austerities. So this is what, I mean, for him, spiritual master, for the Lord's, for Brahma, Lord Brahma's spiritual master is Lord Vishnu. So this is just an example as to when one spiritual master gives a devotee any task to do, you should just take it close your eyes and just not without any questioning, just have to follow it because they know what is best for you. So over here, what Lord Vishnu, he had given him the austerities, the knowledge, for doing austerities. And when Brahma did the austerities, then Lord Vishnu, this is the testing thing. Like what happens is when anybody gives anybody a task, is usually a testing time. And they always test and see whether this person is capable enough, capable enough to do, because they always have a plan. When you go to any workplace or anything, for example, they will, when you're joining a new place, they will always challenge you. They'll challenge you all the time because they want to test how much you can do. Like, what is your actual strength? What is your inner strength? And this is what actually Lord Vishnu was trying to test Brahma. So actually Brahma passed in his test. And that is why Lord gave him the responsibility to create. And this is what Lord wanted to do. And why he wanted this to do is to get back all his parts and parcels back to him, so that all of us can live in eternal bliss and happiness. So the whole chapter over here is trying to say how Lord Brahma did all the penances of here, and then how he had face to face, he could see the Lord himself, and who has come out and shook out his hand. Yes, you are the best person I can give this role to, and who can fulfill my desire, and who can really satisfy my senses, in that way. So this creation was given to Lord Brahma. So the best way of self-realization, is not like, okay, fine, God is there, or you realize that God is there. The best thing is to see what else can be more better than seeing the Lord face to face. That is the ultimate thing. And that was achieved by Lord Brahma himself. And so then he went on to do the creation. Yeah. So in this purport, it says, and every time Srila Prabhupada tries to say, obviously, whatever happens, this world, why is it, why we are here, why am I in this form, and why is such and so thing is another form, or why I am having this many qualities and the other person is having this many qualities, or why am I suffering this much, why the other person suffering, is all never accidental. It is there, it is all nothing is an accident, okay, and it is all intentional, like. So, and everything happens with a purpose and with a realization, and everybody has their own life cycle, and this is what we need to know. And it all depends upon now what they're trying to say is, how do we get out of this conditioned life? And the superior most thing, the most transcendental thing is to be austere. So the more austere you are, the more your consciousness becomes pure, because the consciousness, when it comes into the material world, is slightly in muddy waters, So you have to clear it up. And how do we clear that up? By doing austerities. Austerities are always very, very difficult. And that is why it can be only achieved by only some people, because here we are not in this world to gratify our own senses, but to satisfy the senses of the Lord by doing devotional service. By doing devotional service, then the Lord is happy. The Lord is happy. When somebody is very pleased, then you're in a better place, and then you have a higher chance of going to there. For example, like, then God will say, okay, now you can come to my house. You can come to my house and be my guest. If you're not their friend, or you're not satisfied, then he will not call. He will not call everyone. Then if you're actually wanting to self-satisfy yourself or to gratify your own senses, then he will say, then God will send more and more of illusory energy. He'll send more Maya. Okay, go help him. Maya, help him to achieve his goal. And then they will send you to the most darkest corners of the matter, and where you will never even remember God. So some of the demons can go to the darkest corner. They will never remember God. They will always be into their own little being. So the whole idea of us, we being conditioned souls, and we have to be liberated from this material existence is that can be only done by surrendering unto the Lord and by doing devotional service and doing just remembering everything is there, everything is because of the Lord, and by remembering Him and by putting Him in each and center of everything what we do, by basically surrendering Him into everything we do. In that way, at least we are going the right track. So over here, Srila Prabhupada says that, so what he does over here is he instructs the Lord Vishnu himself. What he does is he gives him the knowledge of the Vedas. And what does the Vedas, Vedic knowledge is? Vedic knowledge is given so that the person who has the knowledge will realize that he has to worship the Lord. He has to know what the Lord is about, how he can go back to the Godhead. That is what this whole knowledge is about, Vedic knowledge. It comes in the form of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, in all these beautiful scriptures. But in all the scriptures, what lies over there is how can we worship the Lord? How can we do devotional service? How can we know about the Lord? How can we know about the pastimes of the Lord? How can we worship Him? How can we remember ourselves that we are part and parcels of the Lord? This is all the main thing we need to know, and that is all is in the scriptures. The more you know earlier, the better it is. So what that how we are, how the Vedic knowledge also tells us that how we have to be mindful of Krishna in everything what we do, and how can we be his devotee, and we have to worship him. How do we worship him all the time, and how do we surrender unto him? Once we surrender unto the Lord, then he gives us protection. And now over here, as I said earlier, like how they how Lord Vishnu will realize that Brahma is the right person. Brahma also does his duty perfectly. So he creates it. He creates the world, and then he creates the world so that what is the reason for his creation of this world, and to form this life and death circle of how this world will be created, and then it'll all be again dissolved, and again it'll be created, is for the conditioned souls to realize, just to improve the realization, so that they can all go back to Godhead. So that's how this Brahma Sampradaya is formed, where because we all of us are following the Brahma Sampradaya. Whatever Brahma has given the knowledge, taking that knowledge from the spiritual master and practically applying into our lives. And in that way, what happens? So we are trying to, so basically whoever the spiritual masters are in this Brahma Sampradaya, what are they doing? They're trying to reclaim back the fallen souls. What does that mean? So that all these fallen souls are given another chance. They're given another chance to go back to Godhead. And who is helping them out? So the spiritual masters, by this Vedic knowledge, by implanting this knowledge, giving us the knowledge and giving us removing all the ignorance from this material world, and helping us to detach ourselves from this attachment of this material world, so that we can go back to Godhead. So this is what is this main Brahma Sampradaya is about. And that is what this whole Krishna consciousness is about, is being God conscious. And in being that our purpose is not over here. This is only temporary, and we have to go back to this eternal life. And this is what the Lord wants. The Lord wants us to give us eternal liberation, so that we don't have to come back. Eternal life and blissful life. We don't have to come back. So that is what is the main idea of this Brahma Sampradaya. And we should, all of us should try our level best to do that as much as possible, as soon as possible, because you never know what will be our next life. And it all depends upon what you do in this life. You can tell what will be your next life. If you do good things, then you will have a better chance. If you fall down, then you'll have to stay here much, much more longer. Hare Krishna. Let's go to the next verse, please. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Tvayaham Toshita Samyag Vedagarbha Sisrikshaya Srikshaya Chiram Bhritena Tapasa Dustosha Puta Yoginam. The beautiful personality of Godhead addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance, with the desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo-mystics. Can somebody read the purport for me, please?
Can I read it,
Please,
Mataji?
Mataji, please go ahead.
There are two kinds of penance, one for sense gratification and the other for self-realization. There are many pseudo mystics who undergo severe penances for their own satisfaction, and there are others who undergo severe penances for the satisfaction of the senses of the Lord. For example, the penances undertaken to discover nuclear weapons will never satisfy the Lord, because such a penance is never satisfactory. By nature's own way, everyone has to meet death, and if such a process of death is accelerated by anyone's penances, there is no satisfaction for the Lord. The Lord wants every one of his parts and parcels to attain eternal life and bliss by coming home to Godhead, and the whole material creation is meant for the objective. Brahma underwent severe penances for that purpose, namely the regulate the process of creation so that the Lord might be satisfied. Therefore, the Lord was very much pleased with him, and for this Brahma was impregnated with Vedic knowledge. The ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to know the Lord and not to misuse the knowledge for any other purposes. Those who do not utilize Vedic knowledge for that purpose are known as Kuta yogis or pseudo transcendentalists who spoil their lives with ulterior motives. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. I mean, this is the same thing which we were just talking before. And over here, how the Lord tries to say, like, he's just trying to say to Brahma. Now, he's given Brahma already the knowledge of the Vedas and is very happy because Brahmaji has done severe austerities, thousands of years. He did 1,000 God years, demigod years, and then he gets all this basic benedictions, basically. And the Lord is very, very happy, and he wants the world to be created. And he's trying to say, like, I mean, some people do austerities, but if you do the austerities for the sake of the Lord, then it is all right. But if you do it for yourself, then obviously God is not very happy. Like he gives an example of here how I'm sure there are lots of scientists who do lots of penances, austerities, basically working hard day and night, toiling to produce weapons of destruction. I mean, you're not God, you know, the scientist, they feel themselves as God because they feel so powerful that they have created something which can destroy somebody else, you know. And in that, see, creation, the person who people, till now, example, till now, everybody says, I've done this big building, I've done this one, I've done that one, but nobody can ever actually create a new seed. How the first seed came or how the first the life came in, that they can never do it. How much ever they can do big houses, but the materials, you see the raw materials, nobody can create those raw materials by themselves. They were already present, only thing they're changing from one form to another. So by that, this human being is so conditioned, but so into the false ego that they think that they are equal to the Lord. They're so powerful. And this is where the whole thing comes, where whatever they do, a lot of us remember, even the robber actually also does a lot of planning, and he also does a lot of austerities to go and steal the money or the jewels. But doesn't mean that his austerities are good. He's also doing so much of penances, yeah. But it's the intention and for what purpose you're doing that is more important. So it is not the austerity itself, but it is the intention, the bhav behind. So if the bhav behind your austerity is for a good purpose, then the Lord will accept it and is happy that yes, he's doing on my behalf, or whatever I wanted to do, he's thinking the right way. And if he does it the opposite way, then obviously the Lord will not like it. This is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to give in that example of the nuclear weapons, where obviously everybody is born here to die. And so, I mean, that's already predestined before by the Lord itself. So how can you take away that from the Lord? So this is what over here the Lord is trying to tell over here. So over here, so Lord Vishnu is very, very happy with Lord Brahma. So he gives him this knowledge of Vedas, Vedic knowledge. And again over here, the knowledge is to know the Lord. Is for that purpose only, not to misuse and create. Because people, now we have lots of yogis, lots of people who do this, and people get really attracted to them because they give them false promises. Or some people have a little bit of, they do of these tricks where they can just levitate up and they think that, oh, it's doing magic. All these yogis, they're all for self-power. So they are not, these are the ones that the Lord doesn't like, basically. And these are called Puta yogis, or pseudo-transcendentalists, who do not utilize the main purpose of the Vedas is for that particular reason, to know the Lord. But they will try to deviate the innocent souls to go that side, because these souls are full of ignorance. That's where they try to think that, oh, there is some truth in what they say, and lots of people just go, they're so ignorant people. That's why they keep on having big followers, lots of followers, but after some time they always get caught, these Puta yogis. So whereas a real devotee will never have any of this materialistic desires. A real devotee would like to do service to the Lord and feels much happier, much more with less money, with less materialistic happiness. They feel more happier, and they like to always go where to those transcendental souls who are very what's the right word I want to use? Like we have all the spiritual masters. They have such a vast amount of knowledge of how we can all go back to Godhead, and they themselves have a separate aura around them, and that actually attracts you so much that you have to be surrounded by such good souls that you can imbibe some of it into yourself, and then slowly try to wash your consciousness, from the muddy waters, and try to make your consciousness a bit more pure. So the main reason is Sangha. Sangha is so important. You have to be with the right Sangha. So the next verse, please. Varam varaya bhadram te varesham mavi vanchitam brahman shreya parishramah pumsham mattarshana vadhihi. I wish you good luck, O Brahma. You may ask me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction, as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization. Somebody can read for purport, please.
Can I read, Mataji, please?
Please.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. The ultimate realization of the supreme truth is knowing and seeing face to face the personality of Godhead, realization of the impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma features of the personality of Godhead is not ultimate realization. When one realizes the Supreme Lord, one does not struggle hard to perform such penances. The next stage of life is to discharge devotional service to the Lord just to satisfy Him. In other words, one who has realized and seen the Supreme Lord as attained all perfection, because everything is included in that highest perfectional stage. The impersonalists and the pseudo mystics, however, cannot reach this state. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So you can see what is the main idea. As in the first line, which we said first, is the ultimate dream is to see the Lord. And how lucky are those souls who can do that, and not everyone can do that. So over here in this chapter, how Brahmaji goes and sees Lord Vishnu and his abode, and he sees all that beautiful, all Vishnu Dutas and personality of the goddess Lakshmi, and all that glitter and all that opulence and all that effulgence. That is like, I don't think, we can see in the movies how they try to imitate that so much, but what is the real thing is so different, that once you see that, you get so much of bliss that you do not want to come out of it. And this is what some of the people, examples I'm just saying, like obviously some of the people who have had these, I've seen these people whose hearts have been stopped and whose souls have migrated, and they have these near-death experiences. That's how they try to explain, they see this wonderful light, and it is so much of, they feel the happiness, and some things are not even said, but they can still understand. So such type of feeling comes when you actually see the personality of Godhead himself. So over here, when you can see, like Lord Brahma, in which verse was that, where he sees the he sees Lord Vishnu, and he goes to Vaikuntha Loka. I'm getting a bit more ahead, I think. Yeah, so when we go in the previous verses, when we see, right, how Brahmaji goes to the abode of Vaikuntha Loka, he goes over there, and then he sees all these Vaikuntha Dutas, the Vishnu Dutas, and then he sees Lakshmi, then he sees the Vaikuntha planets, all the inhabitants, they are all of glowing sky bluish complexion, and the eyes are like lotus flowers, and they're all dressed in pitambar. The body is absolutely attractive, and some of them, you can see how it is so beautiful. The whole thing looks so wonderful. So imagine, so how Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, and he really feels so happy. And so what is the real, in this verse, what they try to say over here is that what is the ultimate realization is not realizing that God is in the impersonal form, or he has these features like all these features are like or a personality, but is actually seeing God face to face. And seeing God face to face, you become totally purified. It's just like example, the common example which you can give, how an iron rod becomes fire, becomes purified by putting in the fire. The similar way, by just even having a small glance of the Lord, you become totally purified. And so this is what actually we have to, what is the biggest realization of seeing Lord face to face. And once we see that, then obviously over here, Sri Prabhupada says, when one realizes that the Supreme Lord, who is the Supreme Lord, or what is Supreme Lord, then they don't mind struggling, they don't mind doing for that happiness. They will do any amount of austerities or any amount of penances. And they will be more than happy to sit and serve the lotus feet of the Lord. Because we are so ignorant, we do not have that. We are only going by the books, by whatever it is. But if you do with sincerity, if you start doing these austerities with sincerity, then you will start reaping the benefits. You will see how things change in your life, how your consciousness starts changing. You will recognize that the Lord is there. And then more and more you recognize, the more and more you want to do things for the Lord. And the more and more you do things for the Lord, the more and more closer you get to the Lord. And then when you get closer, I mean, that is the whole purpose of us going back to Godhead. So that even if it's with the mercy of the Lord, whatever sins you have done, you don't have to even go through that karma, that also can be written off. Like some people who can't pay the loans, the government says you can't pay, you're too poor now. Okay, I'll write you off the loans. Otherwise, some people will just go on, because they can't pay, they just go and kill themselves. So instead of that, but the brave only, the people who do not, the person has so much of loans, but his intention is, yes, I have to give back the money to the Lord. I'll try my level best, to give back whatever I have taken, So if the God will see your intention, the same way like how Yashoda Maya was trying to tie the rope, the Damodara, but every time she fell short. But then the reason is obviously with Krishna's mercy and her endeavor. So this is what we have to see always. There's always the 2-finger shot which we have. Is we have to have the endeavor and the intention. Our intention should be right, and then the Lord will always grace some mercy on us and then help us to come back to Him. The other one which I really wanted to say was again about how Dhruva Maharaj, I just wanted to bring this topic of Dhruva Maharaj over here, is that how a small child had gone and he also has a Shakshat face-to-face. He sees the Lord Vishnu and face-to-face. And he feels real intense happiness. But then that again disappears after some time, and then he regrets. He has his remorse. It's like people will Anand. The people will go and buy something, and afterwards they realize, oh, what have I done? This sort of a remorse he had, which a little bit he repented himself as to why he asked the materialistic things when he got the best of things. But that would come with a little bit of ignorance if we have in ourselves, that we forget, and we are conditioned souls in so many ways. So even the Dhruva Maharaj is the biggest devotee, of course. He's got the best of everything. He's got the planet. He's got he's the king of the planet which will never get annihilated in this world. And around his planet comes many other planets. They rotate and revolve around the North Pole Star or Dhruva planet. But still, people can become fallen because if they have some pride. So the first thing what we need to do is become more and more humble. So by becoming more and more humble, many times I've said this example, the more humble you are, the more the Lord will show mercy on you. He doesn't like people who are proud. He runs away from people who are proud. So the more humble we are, the more better our chances of doing devotional service. So over here, the Lord basically wishes Brahma, and he says, okay, now I've given you this role. Please go ahead and do all the creative role, whatever has been taught to you. Just do that, because this is what I want. I want you to do. And he gives him this benediction and gives him the knowledge so that all the people can go back to him. So that is how this world has come into creation. So we all are part and parcel of this world, and we all are over here trying to go back to Godhead. So we have to cut our ties with this material world and start doing devotional service with good intention and with sincerity. And once we do with sincerity, then things will fall into place. So reading Bhagavatam every day, obviously we are doing it every alternate day, but this is also Krishna. So we have to make it a purpose. Every one of us over here, everyone, we have to be part of Krishna in everyday life. Yes, we are chanting our rounds. That's fine. We are doing here and there, a little bit here and there. Thoda sa Bhagavatam sun liya, a little bit we heard over here, a little bit heard over there. But what we have to do is, it's like, when you're going for an exam, I heard a bit here, I heard a bit there. That is not the thing. The thing is, when a question is coming in front of you, are you able to answer that question with the knowledge you have? And how do you get that knowledge? So this example of here is, we got to read Bhagavatam ourselves every day. Every day we got to do it. And once you start doing it, Krishna will give you the knowledge to understand Krishna. And then when the real question comes, what is the real question? Is remembering Krishna at the time of death. Then we will be able to answer it. So this is where a whole thing, this is what we have to do. Bhagavatam is one thing you have to, Nitya Bhagavatam Sevaya. Every day we have to do Bhagavatam. It is not like only alternate days or some days only, or 7 days in a week we have listened. We got to at least small chapter by chapter or verse by verse. Every day, every one of us in this forum, we have to read Bhagavatam. At least a small bit. So that Krishna will see our endeavor. And this is one of the main things which we should try and do. We are doing our small bits, whatever in our own little ways, but with sincerity. Think that you're going for an exam and you're preparing now. And your exam, is at the time of death. Of course, it is very, it might be a bit funny to say how children also in this forum, they're so young, and then we're talking about something about death, but that is the ultimate exam. It's the ultimate exam, and we do not know when it comes to, we do not know when the exam date is going to be, when we are going to sit for the exam. So we should be always prepared. So let us read this Bhagavatam every day. And plus, these are all extra lessons which we have. But every day, every one of us, in the language they understand, they should start reading one verse. Don't have to go through the purport initially, because at least you might feel the purports are too overwhelming maybe. Just read the translations. All of us know English. So we can take Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhadra Purnima is coming now. So Srimad Bhagavatam, every time you start now, every day, just read the translations. Just like a story, it'll go. It'll smooth so beautifully. It'll go very beautifully. It'll flow. And if you make this as a habit every day, then you will see how you will not feel like it becomes like an addiction and you want to do it every day. You want to read it. So let's all of us do this. And let's take a vow that we will do this until the end of our life. And it's really, I hope the Lord will listen. And I hope and the other things, Lord always listens, sorry. Lord listens, Lord knows everything, every bhav of yours. He will know with what intention you want to do, with what intention you want to do things, and what intention you are doing things. Even though you want, your wish, sometimes we wish so much, but we cannot do, but you had the intention to do it. So Lord will try to make that intention happen. Yeah. So with that, I think I will close this session, and please forgive me for all my mistakes, and please correct me, and please fill in with any other things in these 3 verses, please, or anything else. Hare Krishna. The floor is open now. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mamta Mataji, please accept
Hare
my
Krishna
humble
Mataji, please accept my humble
All
obeisance.
glory to Srila
Sure.
Prabhupada and all glory to your divine service. It was a wonderful class. I have no question. I just wanted to say I really enjoyed listening to you, and I will try to read more Bhagavatam every day. Yeah, you are
Thank you.
right. I do read here and there, but I need to read properly, give more time, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. I think all of us should do a little bit, Mataji. I think even the
Yeah.
children can start reading like a story or something. Yeah, you will see how much of change happens when
Yeah,
we do it. And
very true.
maybe we should take a vow, isn't it? All of us should take a vow
Yeah,
and try at least
yeah,
do a little bit, every day.
yeah. It's like you
You
said,
will
if
see there'll be changes. Changes will
yeah,
happen because Krishna himself, isn't it? All the parts and parcels of him.
yeah,
Bhagavatam.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mamta Mataji, for the very nice class.
Thank you, Chavani Mataji. Thanks a lot. You're doing lovely service in the time.
We have a question as well.
Hare Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji. Can I ask,
Hare Krishna, Grace Prabhu.
not call it a question, just a clarification or question. It says in the purport 21, it says that to accelerate the death by penances, which not please to the Lord. How can
20 you mean? You mean 20, right?
Sorry? 21.
20.
21 purport.
Purport ultimate.
Yeah. It says that if someone accelerate death by penances, which doesn't please the Lord.
Yeah, you mean 20, right? The nuclear weapon one. Is that one you're talking about?
21st Mataji. Purport of
The
20.
ultimate realization. I'm just trying to see where the sentence is.
In the purport, Mataji, third or fourth line.
When one realizes Supreme Lord, one does not struggle hard to perform such penances. The next stage of life is to discharge devotional service to the Lord just to satisfy Him. Is that the one?
No, Mataji, not this.
I'm
Is
just
it 2.9.21, right?
Yeah, 2-1, yeah.
Yeah, where are you saying 20? I think. Are you saying about 20? And that the nuclear weapon thing comes, that one, right? Yeah,
Sorry,
that
20.
yeah, that is two. Yeah, exactly. That's what.
So in the
Yeah,
line,
by nature's own way, everyone has to meet death. And if such a process of death is accelerated by anyone's penances, there is no satisfaction for the Lord. So example is given that, isn't it? This is the example for the Brahmastra he's given, like, I mean, for the nuclear weapons. So by nature's own way, everyone has to meet death. So this is prarabdha, this is fate, right? So this is already destined by the Lord himself. So anything, the Lord has made some rules and regulations, and by that you should go. But then if such a process of death is accelerated by anyone's penances, there is no satisfaction for the Lord. So, but so that again, this is what I was trying to give an example is that time, that if the process of death is with your austerities, if you want to die so quickly by the austerities, then Lord is not happy with that way. Because there is a time and thing, the Lord has set the time. So you may argue both ways, saying that maybe this is also fate. This is why am I doing this penances now? But the Lord doesn't want you to hasten your death.
but isn't it already destined how we are going to die and when we are going to die? So no one can accelerate or deaccelerate.
Yeah, this can be a bit. I mean, of course, this is. You can think in both ways, because when we think that everything is a fate, nothing is accidental, everything is incidental, we can also argue that, saying that even this acceleration of death is also incidental, isn't it? I mean, it is. It's not incidental. It is already agreed or whatever it is. So you can argue both ways, but to me, what I understood from the previous verse was that anybody takes the Lord's powers in a way, then the Lord doesn't like it. So please I'll open it up for the floor. If somebody can talk about this. Because it can be both ways, Prabhuji. Otherwise, I will have to come back to you on this.
Okay, sure, Mataji, no problem. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mataji.
Over here, I mean, basically in this, it says over here, the Srila Prabhupada was trying to tell about this other one is about the penances. Obviously, two types of penances are there. One is for sense gratification, one for self-realization. Oh yeah, this is, for example, the penances undertaken to discover nuclear weapons will never satisfy the Lord because such a penance is never satisfactory. By nature's own way, everyone has to meet death. So this is what we are trying to say, is that if somebody is taking over the power of the Lord, so you are bringing in, so this is what he was, this is what I was trying to tell before also. So your austerities for good things is the right way. And if you do the austerities for the bad things, then that is not the right way. That is what God doesn't like. So you're doing this penances to accelerate the death of somebody else's or yours. That is not good because you're doing something which is against the law in a way. So that is what the Lord doesn't like if you're going against the law. But you can argue that everything is, nothing is accidental, everything is intentional. So you can argue that way. But he's seeing over here the intention, Prabhuji. The intention, what he's trying to see. Our intention is to serve the Lord. And they serve the Lord, and then afterwards we get eternal life and bliss. But not to abruptly stop a material life over here, because that will not help.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Stopping a material life over here will not help. But instead, take this material life as a chance and try to how you can redeem ourselves, because that we are here because of whatever wrong things we have done or whatever our desires we had. So once we have these desires, then God will always has given us a free will. He will let you have what you want, but he wants you to come on your own. And people can argue and say, oh, I just want to get rid of my material body and I can go back to Godhead. Aisa nahi hoga. You do austerities to serve the Lord or to do devotional service unto him. Then God will give you some grace and then take your body away from you. That's a different thing. Then he'll take the soul back. But you like doing this example, like accelerating death by doing, killing someone by giving an injection or killing by nuclear wars or shooting somebody else. You might argue also that is his karma over there. You might argue. So it's a bit difficult to, I mean, it's a nice question. It's a difficult to really answer. But what I can understand from this particular purport is that anything you do against the law or against the Lord's law, the Lord doesn't like it.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
I'm so sorry, I'm not able to explain to you so much, but surely I will come up with an answer later. I have to do a bit more studying.
No problem, Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mamta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Going back to reading Bhagavad every day.
Yes, Mataji.
I've been reading it every day, and I find that, I learn something every time I open the book.
Wow.
Every time I open the book and I learn something, and I think of it in the night, and I'm thinking, oh yes, this is what it said, and we try and put it in practice, but it's really, really hard to put it in practice.
Mataji, you just
But
do
we
it.
do try. We
Yeah,
do
this is
try.
what, in Bhagavad Gita, 18.66, you just surrender unto me and do not fear, things will happen, okay? So he's
But-
seeing the Bhavagrahi, right? We have to always remember that the Lord is Bhavagrahi and He's seeing your intention.
Mm.
He's seeing your intention. First time it may be difficult, but later you will feel you do it every time. Later
It
you
was
yourself have to see.
very, very difficult to begin with. And I was
Yes.
stopping and I was reading, stopping and I was reading. Now it's become so continuous that I'm
Wow.
learning something every day.
Nice,
Yeah.
Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely reflection. And I'm sure lots of devotees are hearing here. And all of us we will learn Bhagavatam. This is, I feel every time I come up, I feel like we should take one takeaway pearl, every time we do in our life, implement. And I feel like this is one of the things with Bhadra Purnima coming, what best, and it is just, I'm talking to you, the ideas are just coming to me. It's not that I never even thought I would say this to you this time. When you sit in the platform, you always some ideas come.
Sometimes I find my answers as well, because I'm
Yes.
asking a question and I say to myself, who do I go and ask this? And all of a sudden, when I'm reading the next chapter, it's written there. My answer is in there.
This is what they say. So the Lord will always take that ignorance out of you, and He will show you light, And even if you read this Bhagavatam, every time you read a different answer for you, because your life situation changes. The same verse you read, maybe yesterday was a different thing and today is a different thing, because time is dynamic, right? Things change. So the answers are not same, not like an English paper or maths paper or geography paper. That question, that answer only. That does not apply to life. Life, that particular, so example, like some years ago, you were given those choices. And so I'm telling examples of parents, whatever difficulties they could have had, and with the children over there, with that particular time, whatever avenues they had, whatever opportunities they had, they did the best for the children. And I mean, every parent will do the best for the child so that the child gets the best what we can. But a child will never understand that. They will try to compare with what we have now. And they will say, but they will not realize at that particular time that was the best choice. So, but if you ask the same question again now to the parents, they will give you a different answer, because they have different choices now. So every time is different, and everything changes. Even every second, even a minute ago, if you ask me a different question, I will say something different, unless we have a finite thing, So always it is dynamic. So every time you read Bhagavatam, we get a different answer. Same thing with Bhagavad Gita also. Every time, because your life challenges are different every time you read it.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the reflection.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you
Hare
for a
Krishna,
wonderful class as
Mataji.
usual. You enlighten us so well, because you come to the ordinary layman term and you give us an enrichment through looking at reality, which is wonderful. And that's the area we struggle with. And what Mataji was just saying is so true. And we know it. Like, I found myself telling somebody yesterday about the sweetness of how when you get engaged in it, how you can't stop and you want to go. But, I think personally what I find, because I get caught up in this, leave it for last minute, have a little bit of idle time, and, just for me kind of thing, because the whole day is so tight with occupation of all sorts. And then I think to myself, by the time you get round to it, you started reading and you fall asleep. So I actually tend to get in that situation. But I was preaching it in a way how beautiful it is, and how if when you start you don't want to stop, and you can't wait to find a space where you can go and grab it and sit. And the thing is, you're alone with it. You need company, you need association.
Yes,
to keep that urgency.
Well, not necessary. Sometimes you might not get association, Mataji. You think Krishna is sitting in front of you and you're talking over there.
Yes, you
just
can
do
use
that,
all your
Mataji.
imagination. Yeah. So
Yes,
I think
Mataji.
it's so beautiful. I really do believe that it is there all on a plate for us, and we don't take it because we get, well, we don't get caught up. We make ourselves, we take on so much that we, in a way, unconsciously, you are avoiding it,
Yes, yes.
which is
Yeah.
sad. I know, but this kind of classes, that's what we need more of all the time. Keep encouraging, keep reminding, keep saying, look, I've got the sweetness of it last night. I found something new. It was beautiful. Let's carry on doing it, and all that encouragement is so necessary in this
Yes,
material
yes,
world.
Mataji.
Yeah.
I thanks a lot, Mataji. I would like to say one last thing. I always try to how can we deal with things in our life. So, for example, every day we have to cook food and eat. So we're eating it for a body, right?
Yeah.
So I like to divide the thing into, you can divide it into your soul, your body, your mind, and intelligence, whatever you want to do.
Mm.
So maybe let's do the mind and soul and body. Let's do that first. We can go to the mind and intelligence later. But I would say, like, okay, my body's had the food, but did my soul have any food? So what is
Mm.
my soul's food? Doing my japa. Okay. That is a
Mm.
basic food. Okay. That's the basic thing just to survive my hunger pangs. But is the soul satisfied? And how will I satisfy? By eating nice, sumptuous, or nice gulab jamun or a nice rasagulla. So that is what Bhagavatam is. That is what the Mishti, or have a nice, whatever, a beautiful dish. You can make it. So that is Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. That is for the soul. That's what I was thinking. Whatever materialistic things you do, how do we put it into the soul's plate? That's, we have to see what is in the plate of the soul. Oh, only japa is okay. That's fine, but that's like rice and dal. But there's no nice, wonderful curry over there. So that will be like Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Whereas, like that way you can start doing it. Then you will see how you are giving the soul the same right. First of all, soul is so tiny, so we're giving it less time. And the body is so, for example, like soul is supposed to be the very finest thing in the body, right? And around it is most of your gross body, most of it. And then comes your subtle body, your mind and intelligence, and the false ego. But when we look at the body is so magnified and so big. And so we always, our mind is full like, oh, my plate for the body is so much, but for the soul is so less. But once we start thinking that the whole body is the more you start thinking about the soul, then more of your gross body starts going down, and your soul or the subtle body starts increasing, or the soul becomes bigger and bigger. And then you will start forgetting about, you won't even feel anything for the actually gross body. You won't even have so much of interest in that. You start detaching things. So then your soul's plate becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and your material plate becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And that is when you will start then elevating yourself. And then that is when they say, humans will be starting flying. This is what happens. Humans will start flying. Once the soul becomes lighter and lighter, now it is very heavy, because the soul is so tiny, and the big body is literally is like an ant being trampled by the elephant to the foot. The elephant is the gross body, and the ant is the soul, is being trampled. So how can we make this ant bigger like the elephant? And role reversal, and the soul becomes the elephant, and the gross body becomes the ant. That's what we call it.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
I find that is so sweet, because and a good tool to use, because if you have imagination like that, it's so beautiful. And the Srimad Bhagavatam tells you, when you read these sweetness of the Bhagavatam, it's like drinking the Bhagavatam. And so when you drink it, it's all nourishing, and it's nourishing the soul.
The nectar.
So
Yes.
that is a nice one. And Mataji, can I just ask about the question Prabhu asked earlier on? I didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
And so
Prabhuji
we
was
cannot.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji, please say.
No, I just want to know if I could.
No, what
I could
Prabhuji was
actually.
trying to say,
Yeah.
accelerating the death by penances. How can
Mm.
that be against? How can the Lord not like that? So
Well,
that example of here, Prabhupada was trying to give the example of how people make nuclear weapons and how the other weapons and they destroy, like how many wars we are having. People are dying untimely, right? So that is not in the nature of the Lord. Like, I mean, we're creating, so a scientist has created his nuclear weapon and he has done so much of austerities over there. But that austerity is of no use because it is not serving the purpose for the Lord. And that is why you're accelerating somebody else's death, but you have done so much of penances over there, so much of austerities you have done, you've studied, you have done this to develop this weapon. But that is not what the Lord wants. The Lord wants you to do austerity so that you can serve him. You can understand what your role is, what relationship with the Lord, so that he wants his parts and parcels back into him. He wants
so
his property
if,
back.
if you're
Yeah?
destined to die at a certain age, we all
Yeah.
have this destiny attached to us. You can reverse that though, can't you? That's one
We can't
sense.
we can't do anything. We
No,
can only
but by
pray.
your
It will be the
karma,
Lord's.
you can lift your karma by your good actions.
Yeah, but
So
not, yes, but not, we can't lift anything, Mataji. It's Lord's mercy. The Lord
yes,
has
but
to be
well,
merciful.
of course. But when
Yeah.
you do this, the Lord recognizes
Yes,
it, and then He
yes,
will.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's what He wants. But the other
Yeah.
sense, the penance, is that committing serious sins you expect to. I don't really
So
get
the
that
penance
question.
is, yeah, no, committing, yes, serious sins are there. Of course, that is your karma. It becomes that you'll have to come back to earth and try to unless you reform yourself. And then because there were people who have done sins all throughout the life, Khatwanga and Raja, the second, obviously he was liberated, they say, according to this Bhagavatam story. So it is your intention. So if you start with the intention of going, of reforming yourself and then not doing those things again, then the Lord will be able to pardon all your sins, and that is
Absolutely,
up to
yes,
the
yeah,
Lord. But
yeah.
you have to do it though. If you don't do it, it's like I want to go to so and so place, but how would you go? You have to get on the train to go to the next station, right? Otherwise you can't. Whatever, you have to make the journey, otherwise you can't. Or if you have to sit for the exam to pass that so that you can go to the next level, so you got to start doing from somewhere. And then with this intention, with this journey, how it is going to be, and how, with what intention you're doing and how seriously you're doing, and how many obstacles come, but still your endeavor is there. Even though my obstacles are there, I'm trying to still, I will not deviate from my path. That is what your austerity is about. Not sitting and doing japa and doing like so many things, not like that way. It is everything you do in your life, keeping Krishna in whatever you do, trying to
Well,
remember. Our austerity is remembering Krishna. We forget quite a lot because we're conditioned souls and we're forgetting. And our main
actually,
austerity is remembering Krishna in everything we do.
the answer to that, I think, is in Nectar of Instruction, chapter 1. It
Yes.
tells you very clearly, about, committing sins, and then you repeat it again and again, and then you go on, in some religion, they go on, they beg forgiveness. The next minute they're gone and done it again. It's like the prisoner who's been put in prison for thieving, and you witness it, but that's this penalty, but yet you will go and do it because it's a drive that we carry. Is this what shall I say? Is the lust, isn't it? We have, and we cannot let go of the lust. So it's the answer is there. I think you're quite correct when you say about you cannot reverse it like that. You got to be
Hare
doing.
Krishna. Yes.
Sorry, Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Do you mind if I give a little 2
Please,
pennies?
Yes, please. Yes,
please,
please,
comment.
please,
I've
please,
been
please.
avoiding saying anything, but I think
No, don't avoid. You must. Yeah.
there's quite a little deviation going on. So I think I thought I'd kind of just give you a little bit of what Shastric Praman is on this stuff. So firstly, it's quite a complex subject. Karma destiny, and free will are intertwined. So Krishna has given us free will. We all have free will, and the choices we make impact on the karmic reactions that we then have to suffer or enjoy. So the choices we make, we do have independence. Krishna has given us independence, although he knows how we're going to use our independence. So there's nothing that he doesn't know. That's how destiny works, because our destiny is on the basis that Krishna knows how we're going to make choices and behave. But the moment we surrender to him, fully surrender to him, actually our karma stops at that point, and Krishna then takes charge of our future. So it is not correct to say that our karma cannot be changed. Krishna can change anything, and he does. When we've surrendered as a devotee, as a pure devotee, when we surrender to Krishna, that's why karma kanda is for those who are involved in karmic reactions. But for bhaktas, karma does not, it's not relevant to us anymore. Whatever Krishna wants to do, he will do, and he will take charge. He will thereafter, once we've surrendered to him, take full charge of what consequences we have according to his desire. And we accept that. And he does and can change how we, so for devotees, when bad things happen to them, we accept those as Krishna's mercy, as accelerating our burning of karmic reactions. For karmic people, the reactions, sinful, etc., is a karmic reaction of their past deeds or misdeeds. For devotees, we see it as a different consequence. For devotees, it is not a karmic reaction, it is actually Krishna's way of helping the individual burn. So we see great sadhus and sants going through all sorts of pains and penances and sometimes bad things happening to them. You know, we see swamis having accidents and losing limbs, and we have so many within ISKCON. So it is not that it is a karmic reaction that's caused that. It is Krishna's way of accelerating and helping the process for those devotees. So there is a lot of, it's a very complex subject. Destiny, karma, and free will. It's not that nothing can be changed, things can be changed, but only for devotees things can be changed. And for non-devotees, the karmic reaction continues. So going back to the Prabhu's question earlier, where he said, how can it be that you can accelerate your death? Well, you can accelerate your death by virtue of you committing further sins. So the karmic reaction comes for that. It's not that, but Krishna already knows that you are going to make those. So it is predestined. But the fact that you're making those choices, he's not happy with. So it displeases him when we make attempts to try and move away from the karmic process. It doesn't necessarily mean that the karmic process has changed. Krishna knows that you're going to do that, and therefore, but it doesn't please him. The fact that we have free will, we could have decided not to make that choice, in which case Krishna would have been pleased. But the fact that we make a choice through our free will, and he knows we're going to make those choices, ends up accelerating, technically, the death, as it were. So I don't know whether that was too fast or too
That's perfect,
clear.
Prabhuji. Absolutely. Thank you so much for stepping in. And actually, my apologies if I've done any mistake over there, but I've never said like we can change the karma.
No,
Krishna
you said the
always
karma
changes the
cannot be
karma.
changed at any point. Well, karma can be
We
changed, is
can,
what I'm saying.
only Krishna can change the karma. That's what I've said.
Yes,
I've
but
never
that's
said.
what I'm saying. Karma
Krishna,
changes by
no.
virtue of surrender to Krishna.
Yeah,
Yes.
I said that because I
Yes.
said it in the wrong way, but what I meant was that you, with your good actions, as Krishna's, dictated, you can actually, you not necessarily reverse, but reduce it maybe. But Krishna, as you say, whatever you said, Prabhu, was perfectly correct. However, does that mean that devotees aren't going to be they're not sinners?
No, of course we have our past karma. I mean, we are all, every single person on this apart from the pure devotees who have been sent by Krishna to help
That's
people,
it. Yeah.
every one of us have a karmic baggage that we're carrying. That's why we are here. And
Yes.
that's why we continue to be here.
I agree. And but when you say pure devotees, that qualifies it, because if they're not pure, how do we this is the trouble, isn't it? Who are
So,
the
for
pure
instance, we
devotees?
cannot say that our acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, have bad karma. They are pure devotees. They're from the spiritual world. They've been sent here for our deliverance and assistance of our deliverance. So individuals like that are not impacted by material laws.
Mm.
But for the rest of us, which constitutes, sort of the vast majority of the population of the material worlds, we all have some form of karmic baggage that we are carrying. That can only be remedied when we surrender with a pure heart to Krishna.
Yeah.
Until that point, even as devotees, if we carry desires, even if they're, let's say, mode of goodness desires, that still has an impact on our future outcome. So if, for instance, I'll give you an example. We all have children, and if our desire was, oh, I wish I did this and brought my children to Krishna consciousness earlier, that is still a material desire. It's spiritual, but it's still a desire. And if that desire remains with us, we will have to come back to fulfill that desire, to then bring the children back to Krishna consciousness, because that was a desire we have. So we should have zero desires, even as devotees. So even as devotees, we can still end up, even though we'll be in a spirit, in a devotional setting, we'll come back with the devotional life because we've created those devotional credits and sukriti through our bhakti in this life, but we haven't completed it.
So,
sorry, I've spoken a lot. Mamta, my apologies. I was just thought I'd just help you out a
No,
little bit.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for stepping in.
No, she did say she'll be looking into it because she wasn't sure. Totally. Anyway, that was a beautiful spiel there, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much. I wish you had said it earlier on because I was getting all turmoiled in my brain. And I think but if they have the desire in a spiritual sense, would that be called material still? Like if I wish I
It
brought my
depends on
children.
how. So for instance, I gave an example. I wish I did something. I wish I brought my children to Krishna consciousness earlier. So
Yeah.
it's a mixture. It is a spiritual desire,
Yeah,
but it is still
yeah.
attachment to your children, which is material. So the
Yeah.
attachment to your children is a bit that'll bring you back, but the fact that you were spiritual will ensure that you are in a spiritual setting in order to be able to do that desire. And all the security we've created because of our past bhakti and actions in devotional service stays permanently in our bank, as is described in Bhagavad Gita. Whatever we do spiritually will always remain with us. So that is never lost, regardless of, even if we have a fall at a later point in our life, whatever we've accumulated will come with us. And at the next life, Krishna will give us an opportunity to restart from where we left off.
Lovely.
Well, I'm puzzled with that bit because if the Shastras teach you to be trying to steer your children into spiritual path, and so I see that as spiritually, the desire is spiritual. Totally, I don't know.
Yes,
It's
but
so
because the fact that you have a desire through the attachment to the children, it's the attachment to the children
it's
that's
the relationship. Yes,
that the attachment is what's bringing you back. Did you say
Yes,
I'm getting at?
Yeah. Yeah, it's, as you say, it's very, very complex. It's a million
It is a very
questions
complex
attached to
subject.
it.
There are many, many philosophers who have been,
Yes,
for millennia, I've been debating, all of these things. So I'm not qualified. I'm only giving some of the stuff that I've read and heard from our acharyas and swamis. So I'm just repeating. I don't have any knowledge in this area myself. So my apologies.
no, neither. Yeah, I know we're all in the same similar boat, right? But you've more learned, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for actually helping me
I
out.
always avoid now stepping in so that I don't crowd anybody's.
No, you must. Yeah, because really, it a lot better than me anyway. Thank you, Haribo.
Wonderful, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I hope
Wonderful.
that,
Prabhuji.
I
Thank
hope
you so
that's helped
much.
with the Prabhu that's asked the question as well. I don't
Yes,
know.
I think Girish Prabhu,
Is there
you're happy
anything
with the
else you wanted
answer?
to ask Girish Prabhu if he's still there?
I think they have gone, I think. Now. Oh, Girish
No.
Prabhu is here still.
Yeah, they're still there.
Oh, they've gone, I think.
No, I'm here.
But they're here. Girish
The
Prabhu is
name
here.
is in. Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you happy with the answer Girish Prabhu gave?
I don't know, Mataji. Because
Okay, no worries.
I
What
want,
we can talk
I-
about it a bit more, maybe. Let's see.
if I want to accelerate my death because I don't want to live anymore, and I still have 20 years left in my life, I'm sure I'll still live 20 years because when my time comes, then only I will die. I can't accelerate my own death or anyone's death.
Yeah, that's correct. But the fact that you have a desire to do so is the bit that doesn't please Krishna.
No, that I understand, Prabhuji.
Right? So you can't change your destiny as we discussed earlier by virtue of your non-devotional desires. You can only change your destiny by devotional action, because when Krishna takes charge of your karma. But if you are in a non-devotional setting and you are having desires and actions which may or be either positive or negative, that just has positive and negative karma implications. So the fact that you are desiring to curtail your life is the bit that doesn't please Krishna. It's not the fact that you can curtail it, because Krishna ultimately controls everything. Karma, you cannot debunk the laws of karma. Yeah, so you can't, as you rightly say, shorten your life. But if it is in your karma, and that previously you had a sukriti setting which allowed you to make these choices this time, it was already predestined that you will choose to shorten your life, and your life will have ended when it was supposed to end because of that choice. But that was predestined that you would make that choice and you'll try and end your life earlier. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So it's if it is already destined to I'll die in tomorrow, then it is already destined whether I accelerate or not.
Yes, but the fact that you have that desire is is a bit that's not pleasing Krishna. For us to try and manipulate the laws of karma is a bit that Krishna doesn't like, because karma is what it is. We should be accepting whatever our destiny is. If I have an illness, if I have a sickness, it goes back to the subject. For instance, it's a very controversial subject, but not controversial in devotee circles, but controversial in the larger world, is if you have a child that the doctor, if the lady is pregnant and the doctors have said that this child is going to be born with an illness, should you terminate to save the child with the going through a very hard and unnecessary painful life if it's going to be some serious illnesses? So the dharmic perspective is no, because that is a life and we do not have the right to curtail that life, and that soul has whatever destiny and karma it has, and if it's born with that, it is our duty to look after that soul, regardless of what illnesses it may have, or regardless of what difficulties we may have to face. But we cannot terminate. That is Sastra.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah. It says that Janma, Maran, and Lagna is written by God. So we can't change that because that's the dharmic way of going. Am I right in?
Yeah, so people argue, if it's written, then what does free will mean, right? So because this is where it gets very complicated. Yeah, everything is written. What does free will mean? Does it mean we really have free will? Well, yes, but the fact that Krishna knows how, because he knows our character, he knows how we're going to use our free will. So the destiny is written based on the fact that we are going to use our free will in a certain way. So he knows that I'm such a fallen soul, I'm going to make these sinful choices in life. And therefore my karma and the reactions to that karma are predestined. Because the choices I'm going to make is going to get me there. That's why everything, it says in Shastra, not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's desire. And it is everything is ordained by Krishna's desire. Have I answered your question or not?
Finish, Prabhu?
So it is quite a complex subject, but free will and destiny, as I said, free will, destiny, and the laws of karma are all intertwined, and they're all controlled by Krishna's energies. And these are where all of these descriptions of all the various energies and Krishna's Saktis all come in. These are all his energies which govern the ruling and the execution of everything in the material world.
Hare Krishna. I'm just wondering, what are we talking about? Are we talking about suicide here, or neglect, or total neglect to your health, and you escalate your death? Is that? I'm not sure. So I think, as you say, it's very complex, Prabhu. I don't understand all of it.
Yeah, I mean, suicide is part
It's
of
a
that
different kettle of
equation.
fish, isn't
It's
it?
a different kettle of fish, because there you've actually abruptly ended something.
That's right.
Now, one argues, does that mean that you change your destiny? And in a way, yes, but then you're also you have to bear the consequences of that, because when you commit suicide, you're actually born with no gross body. Your soul will not find a gross body. It will remain in a state of flux for a very, very long time, in a tortured state. So that is why it is an absolute no-no, suicide. Although we hear great acharyas talking about it, of course, they're doing it with a purely devotional motive. It is only because they cannot stand the separation from Krishna. It is not because of any material desires that they're trying to shorten their life. It's a very different kettle of fish. We mustn't confuse when acharyas and gopis, etc., talk about shortening their life. It is a very different, but it is a purely devotional separation from Krishna motivation that they cannot bear. But again, we see that they talk about it, but no, actually, the devotees, acharyas actually don't actually do it, because it is a no-no. We've never seen that an acharya is actually taking their life. We hear when they're singing about it, but they don't actually do it. Right.
Thank you.
Girish
Thank
Prabhu,
you.
is there anything else that still remains unclear
Unanswered.
that you'd like me to try and have a go at attempting to try and give you some comfort in? I'm just concerned that your this subject matter isn't because of any negative things in going on. So I'm just reaching out, Prabhu. If there is anything I can do to help, I'm more than happy to do.
There's no negativity going on in our life, which is all blessings of Krishna. But there is, as you said, it's very complex thing, right? Feel free will, this acceleration and all those things. It's there are different ways to see it as well. But I think it's we're already getting late in this class now, so we can keep it for some.
All I would say is one thing that I learned. I have a very inquisitive mind, and I used to ask all sorts of nonsense questions. I still do, and I'm full of nonsense in my head because it's unfortunately an active mind. And I once asked some complex questions in this area, and my Guru Maharaj told me very simply, why are you worrying about all these things? Simply surrender to Krishna, simply love Krishna, and leave everything to his desire. Yeah, if all of these things are because we have some mental disturbances and these subject matters are well beyond most of our understanding, certainly mine. Yeah, and we are trying. I think my Guru Maharaj said it is like an ant trying to understand quantum physics. Yeah, it is the laws of how Krishna's creation works are so complex. It is well beyond our level of understanding. So no matter how hard we try, we're never going to be able to understand it in real terms. No matter how hard an ant tries, it is never going to become a quantum physicist, no matter how hard he tries. So no matter how hard we try in our insignificant position as mere mortals in this material world, we cannot understand the spiritual energies of Krishna. So for us, simply to have faith in Krishna is the number one priority. And number two is to associate ourselves with devotees so that it can help us control our negativity and help us energize our positive affiliation to devotional practice. And our practice should always be developing more and more, deeper and deeper at all times. And as Mataji said, it is essential to that is reading, hearing, and chanting. Those are the three most essential things for all of us in devotional life: hearing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, chanting, and association with devotees. Those are, Prabhupada says, this simply chanting and eating prasad and having purity in those processes alone, I guarantee you'll be delivered in this life, he says. I was only reading a letter this morning that Prabhupada had written to, I think it's Gurudas Prabhu. He said, just simply chant without offenses and eat prasadam without offenses. That is all that's required, and you can be delivered. How easy is that? Yet we still can't manage that even. Hope that helps, Prabhu. I'm so sorry I've taken up so much time, Mamta Mataji. I just
Thank you, Mata. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for really coming in. Absolutely. It's nice to hear your voice, and the explanations are wonderful. Absolutely. Thank you so much. You have
My
to...
apologies to all the devotees if I've said anything wrong.
No, not at all, Prabhuji. It's okay. I think it's nice that some of them, whoever have stayed, have got this knowledge. And people can hear it also later after once the recording is done. So thank you so much for stepping in. My apologies to the background facilitators who are trying to keep a record of time. I'm sorry, Mataji, if we are overrun. So let's, are we okay to do the Vancha Kalpata ending prayers? Is that okay? Thank you, Prabhuji, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's beautiful explanation, and it's good time spent. So don't think it's wasted. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Sindhu
patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava
Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Hari Hari
Prabhupada
Bol.
ki jai. Hari Bol. Hari Bol to all the devotees here. Thank you.
Hari
Thank you,
Bol.
Mataji.
Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
for the
Hari
wonderful
Bol.
class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.